Cafe Networking podcast promotes successful business experts. I'm Tom Rioch, connecting people throughout the world from my podcast studio in Brazil. Joining us today from Brooklyn, New York is Jocelyn Cruz, founder of Yoga and Holistic Wellness. She's been leading yoga teacher training since 2021 and teaching adults and children since 2019. So Jocelyn, what are some tips you have for women's health?
So I would say the first tip I have for women's health is to have great sex. And I know it's kind of like, that's something kind of wild to lead with, right? But really, you know, when we are having healthy sexual connections and when we are really tuned into our bodies, everything else works itself out. So that's one. And then the second tip that I have is to eat well. And when I say eat well, it's not like diet culture. It's not depriving yourself of something, but it's to eat in a way that's pleasurable to you. If we can enjoy food and have a kind of relationship with food where food nourishes us, we love food, we're golden. And there's lots of other things I could say in that realm, but there's so many women I know who just have, you know, relationships with food that are less than pleasurable. And food is like, right. It's, I love food. I'm a big foodie. I think all women should be foodies.
But we seem to feel guilty because we've eaten something. And so that really takes the pleasure out of a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. And that's one of the biggest things that I work with clients on is their guilt. Or, you know, I have one client who couldn't bring herself to eat an Oreo at 8:00 at night. And I'm like, woman, you got to eat the cookie. Let yourself have it.
Makes you happy, right? If it makes you happy, do
it. That's right. And then the last thing that I would say in terms of tips for women's health is to decrease stress. So I know that's such a broad statement these days. Like, oh, we're so stressed out and there's so many ways to decrease stress. But men, quite frankly, can handle stress physiologically in ways that women can't. So
I want to say I agree with you. I personally, from a male standpoint, I think we just might have a different way of hiding it.
Yeah, totally. And, you know, it's both men and women are very resilient, very resilient. You know, it's not to say that women can't handle stress. In fact, I know some women who would probably say they handle way more stress than men, right? And women tend to take stress and physiologically manifest things in their body when they have a lot of stress. So things like endometriosis or reproductive issues, anything like fibroids, growths within our bodies or our reproductive system. That's the body's way in women of saying you're stressed out. Right. Even things like lower libido or feeling really, really dry in the bedroom. Right. That is a product of a lot of stress. So if we're less stressed, you have better sex. You have better sex, you're less stressed. If you enjoy eating, they're all interconnected. So really, you know, the biggest tip that I have for women being healthy is to have a juicy, sexy, fulfilling, and pleasurable life.
And an Oreo once in a while.
Yeah, that's right.
No, but to the point of relieving stress and more to the point of yoga and your training with adults, even with children. Sometimes we need a way to alleviate the stress. We need a valve.
Absolutely.
So is that where yoga comes in?
Yeah. So where yoga comes in as a stress reliever is that it has us move our bodies. And in this day and age, it's really easy for us to be on our devices or at our desk and our computers. A lot of us are working remotely or, you know, we're sitting. So we've adapted to life in a chair. So when we move our bodies, we're not just getting exercise. We're not just getting the added benefit of getting to be a little bit more flexible, but we're energetically moving things throughout the body that are stuck. Things like emotions, things like deep-seated memories, things like experiences that we haven't quite digested yet. And yoga is also really great for children because it gives them a safe outlet to be able to express whatever they're dealing with in their bodies.
And
So
the movement that you're mentioning, you don't have to run a marathon. You can do that in your living room or your bedroom, but
or
you
in
do
a
have
chair.
to move.
That's right. That's right. You can do yoga in a chair. For all of my ladies who are postmenopausal, chair yoga is a fabulous way because it's easy on the knees, it's easy on the joints, and you can get a real good workout in a chair, believe it or not.
Yeah, but I see that, and I think the pandemic really sort of confined most of us, whether we're working or whatever, to a chair, to a Zoom camera, and we've been restricted and wanting to sit still because people would think you should sit still. And many Zoom meetings, there's no movement.
Yes.
And so even breathing becomes sort of difficult at times. So I think we've all forgotten most of the things that I don't want to say we had learned before, but we had used before.
Yes. And you know what the other interesting thing is, because we're all floating heads on Zoom, we often even forget that we have a body.
Right.
So we might be breathing, but we're not deeply breathing into our bellies, or we become a little bit less grounded in our energy because we're so focused on people from the neck up.
Well, I'm gonna share with you, because last week I interviewed another person like yourself and talked exactly that word, grounding.
Yes.
And so what did I learn from that? I'm here talking to you. I don't have any shoes on. My feet are on the floor. And one of the things that I learned was that the grounding could be simple.
Yes.
Just ground yourself. And, I'm now flexing my toes on the floor on the cool tile. So that's something that I had never done before.
Yes. Yes.
And so it does. I wouldn't say it's better than an Oreo, but it does help.
Oh, absolutely. And, grounding, there's so many different ways that you could ground your body. I mean, just walking outside and finding any little patch of grass, taking your shoes and your socks off and putting your feet in any little patch of grass and kind of hanging out with your little toes in the grass. I mean, it's instantly calming, grounding. And in general, just being in nature, it's like I live here in Brooklyn, New York, and we're a bit of an urban jungle. But I'm fortunate that I have these beautiful sycamore trees in my neighborhood.
Right.
And
spring is here, and now even though it's spring, so that even adds to the desire to go out and put your feet on the ground.
Yes, yes. And also the sun. So, we totally underestimate the power and the magic of the sun.
Well, I'm in Brazil. One of the things that I love, no, seriously, is I'm from Pittsburgh, but when I came here, and Pittsburgh doesn't have much sun, but one of the things that attracted me here in Brazil was sun. And it's refreshing, it's invigorating, so it's really energizing. So anyway, so Jocelyn, how can our listeners find you?
So the best way to find me would be through my website, which is sharingheartsyogaandwellness.com. You can also find me on Instagram and TikTok at Sharing Hearts Yoga. And you can look me up on Facebook by my name, Jocelyn Cruz.
So get them all together, right?
That's right.
Very good. Well, thanks for being here and sharing with us.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, Tom.
And again, it's Jocelyn Cruz. It's Jocelyn, the last name Cruz. Find her at her site, sharingheartsyogaandwellness.com. Find her on LinkedIn and TikTok as well. Fan Networking is brought to us by Focus MI Market Intelligence, an agricultural market research specialist in Brazil. More information at focusmi.com. Talk to Tom, talk to the world. Thanks for listening. Till the next time here at Cafe and Networking Podcast.